CSS on World Anvil can seem pretty weird to begin with. Sometimes it seems like nobody really understands the rules. Today I will try to fix this, or at least begin to fix this, because this is the start of a new tutorial series about developing a theme on World Anvil. So today you will learn how to import Google Fonts into World Anvil, how to declare a variable and use it to change your font style in CSS. So I would suggest we will have a look at what you will need first. At first, you will need a browser with developer tools. You need to be able to see the CSS code or HTML code of World Anvil, and for me this works best with Opera GX, but it will also do fine with Chrome or Firefox. Second, you will need a decent code editor. I would suggest you use Microsoft Visual Studio Code, which I have a link in the description. This is because you need code highlighting, and the inbuilt editor of Windows or other operating systems doesn't offer that. So I suggest you use a decent and dedicated code editor. Third, you will need a World Anvil subscription. CSS features are only available for the paid membership levels, so you will need one. If you only want to style the already created parts of World Anvil, you will go away with the master membership level. If you want to create custom containers or sections, you will need the grandmaster level. And if you want to follow each aspect of my tutorials, you will need the Sage membership level. And now I think we are ready to start. This is the front page of every World Anvil world. In my case, it only has been given a cover image so far, but I have added some headings for this tutorial. The front page consists of two parts, which are addressed in the CSS via different prefixes. In practice, this means that we put different classes at the beginning of the CSS definition to tell the browser exactly what we want to edit. The entire width of the page is addressed via user CSS presentation. This part of the page contains, for example, the article preview pop-ups, but also our sidebar. If you want to apply effects to a background image of your world, this would also be in the user CSS presentation part. The second area is our actual content area. This area is always addressed with user CSS. Everything that has to do directly with the appearance of your front page or your articles usually falls into the user CSS domain. In your article view, there is the third important prefix, user CSS extended, which refers to the area below your article, EA, the metadata and comment section. The last prefix we need to keep in mind is found in the map view. The map sidebar here is addressed via user CSS map sidebar and ensures that we can adapt this area to our respective worlds. So, how do you start to make your world pretty? First, you need to understand the two different types of elements. As in HTML, with World Anvil, we create either block elements or inline elements. Think of this as a shelf or a book. Without certain tools like a link or a crossbar, you can only place one shelf below the other. With block elements, it's the same. They will always take the full width of their parent container. In this image, they serve as our shelves. Inline elements, on the other hand, are our books. You can place many of them next to each other without hurting your layout. How does that translate to World Anvil BB code? Well, first of all, you have to define with which type of code you are dealing. In the presentation view of your article, a block element will force everything that follows it to a new line. If the element you are using allows you to continue in the same line or text flow, it's an inline element. Examples of inline elements include text formatting, color settings, and links. Allowed boxes, quotes, or even spoilers are good examples of blocks. For grandmasters and higher subscription tiers, this is also a good explanation of when to use section or container tags. If you want to create a block level element, use the container tag. If you want to create an inline element, then use section. That was a lot of theory to begin with, so I would suggest you move on and make some of that into a practical solution. First, you need to pick the fonts you want to use on Google Fonts. For my theme, I usually go with 4 font families. one serif font for my headings, a sans serif font for my body text, a handwriting font for letters and quotes, and a decorative font for my titles and other decorative elements. Due to the Victorian age content of Andravin, I decided to use 2 serif fonts and 1 handwriting for my theme. The decorative font will be included in next week's tutorial. If your language contains special characters like umlaute, make sure to put them into the preview. This will make sure that your selected font can properly display them. When you are done selecting your fonts, click on Get Embed Code. Sadly, we can't use this as it is, so you need to select the import link. If you right-click it, you should have Go to Web Address in the context menu. If you haven't, just copy the link and navigate to it manually. While you're at it, create a new CSS file in your editor of choice. Give it a name you will recognize and save it at an accessible place. I like to name my files with the pattern of world name -style CSS. Copy all the font face blocks which are commented with Latin to your style sheet. I don't think I need to teach you how to copy and paste, so I will see you in my code editor when I'm done. As you can see, I have pasted all my font blocks in here. Next, I want to add comments to the different font families, so I remember for what I used them. To add a comment, simply type /* space, then your comment, and finish it off with an asterisk and another slash. Sadly, the blocks are still not usable as they are. We need to get rid of these little single quotes and of the format WOF2 as well. To do so, press Ctrl+F on your keyboard if you are on a Windows PC. This will open up the Search and Replace. Click on that little arrow here to open the Replace part. In the top input, type your font name with the single quotes, in the bottom just the font name. Press Replace All and it will get rid of these single quotes. Repeat this for all your fonts. Next, select the Format WOF2 part, including the space before it and the semicolon at the very end. Copy it and paste it in the top input of your Search and Replace. In the bottom input, just type a semicolon. Again, press Replace All and it will get rid of these. Next, you need to create a code block in which you can declare your variables. Go to the end of your document and create a new line. Add a comment to make sure that you know in 5 weeks from now what you've done here. Once you have done that, you need to type in all the prefixes you learned before. Start with a dot, then type the name of the prefix. Separate the prefixes with a comma, and after the last one, open your code block with a curly bracket. If your editor doesn't do it automatically, close the block with a closing curly bracket. This prevents a lot of coding mistakes later on. In between the brackets, press Enter to start a new line. For your own sanity, I would recommend starting a new line for each CSS command you use. This will make looking for mistakes easier in the long run. To actually declare your variable, you must give it a name. For fonts, I like just to number them and put an F for font in the front of the number. Once you decided on your name, type in --, and then your variable name. This is followed by a colon, then a space, and the font name of the font you use. This can contain spaces, it's not a problem at all. End your declaration with a semicolon and repeat this for each of your fonts. Don't forget to give them each a new line. Next, you define the fonts for your headings, starting with the H2. This is where we have the first thing that can confuse about World Anvil. A BB code H1 is actually an H2 in HTML. This is because a valid HTML document will only have one H1 per page, and this is the article title or world name. So for BB code, you need to add 1 to the number you have in your BB code to find the correct translation to your CSS. Similar to your variable declaration, you need to tell the browser to which sections it should add the CSS code. To make things easy and prevent you from typing all this again, copy the declaration from your variables block. Paste it and add an H2 before the comma, but with a space between the prefix and your H2. Open the code block just like before. Type font family and add a colon at the end. Instead of typing in the font name here, you will just use your variable. To do so, add a space after the colon and type var. Then open and close a round bracket. Inside the bracket, call the variable with --variable name and the command with a semicolon again. Now let's have a look at this in World. Select everything and copy it. Then paste it into the CSS editor here. As you can see, the headline font changed to my new font. Changing the fonts of other elements works just like this. If you don't know how to address a certain element, right-click it and select Inspect Element in your context menu. Sometimes you need to be more specific. With this forum button here, for example, I can't just change every link. I need to specify which link, so I use user_css.discussionboards_world_link_a instead. And that's it. You are now officially able to use variables and change your fonts to any Google font you like. Next time we will handle background images and style world name and article title. We will also have a look at colors. Until then, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I will see you next time and bye bye!